In my last video, I built this fiberglass micro camper, but there's just one problem. There's no kitchen. So today I'm gonna fix that problem. These are the plans. A simple cabinet with a door, 2 drawers, and 2 flip-up countertops, with a sink obviously.
Alright, this is the camper we're making the kitchen for. It's got a little hitch back here that I'm gonna use to slot into, and then the cabinet will just be right in between the brake lights right here. I got some cheap 1/2-inch exterior sheathing plywood. It's like 40 bucks for the sheet. So I'm gonna start with making the faceplate where the door and drawers are gonna go. So all these pieces are 2 inches thick or wide, and the longest one was 23 inches. So I just cut a 23-inch section off the end of the plywood, and then I'm gonna rip 2-inch strips and then cut the other ones down to the final dimensions. Alright, to attach these together, I'm going to use pocket holes. You just drill pocket holes on the backside with this little jig, and then glue and screw them together. Alright, so I cut these little strips to go in here, but I decided that I'm just gonna not use any slides and just put 2 rails on either side of the drawer and then 1 rail underneath of it, and then just make a box, a drawer that fits, and it'll just slide in and slide out with no rails. Now I'm just going to trace out the bottom so I know it's the exact right size.
Alright, next I'm going to build the drawers. I got my measurements. I'm just gonna cut out some plywood pieces on the table saw.
I have some of this edge banding, iron-on edge banding, so I'm going to put it on it to cover up the plywood edges. And then you just clean it up with some sandpaper. And then you just got a nice finished edge instead of plywood. I know you're not gonna see these edges when the drawer's in, but I just wanted to protect it so that there was no like blowouts or chips or anything when you're sliding the drawer in and out. This you will see when you open the door, but I want to do it on the outside, but I'm not sure if I'm going to. We'll see. I cut out the drawer faces and the door. I'm going to use my router to do a little design around the edge. All right, I'm gonna attach the face to the drawer. I have it up on a piece of the plywood to give it a 1/2 inch spacing. And then I put marks on either side so that I know where to line it up this way. Just gonna put glue on it and then screw it from the back side. Paint's looking pretty good. I was gonna just stain the whole thing, but then I decided to paint the cabinet black. Should have done it before I attached the top, but it's whatever. I'm gonna do the top like a walnut, dark walnut stain, and then do the drawer faces and the door the same color. I got this metal, it's actually a dog bowl, extra large dog bowl, but it was only like 28 bucks on Amazon. It's about the right size I need. I'm gonna use it as a sink right here. And then I just got one of these little electric pumps that you put on the top of a 5-gallon bucket, or a 5-gallon like water bottle. I'm just gonna drill a hole for it and then have the tube go down into a water bucket. I thought maybe that the hole would just hold the faucet tight enough, but it gets skinnier at the top, so the faucet will just fall through. So I just decided to glue in a little stop block underneath to make sure the faucet didn't fall through. I set my router depth to the same thickness of the hinge. Got this little magnetic catch. I'm gonna put it right here, and then you put the metal plate in here, and then it will magnet close. Might be easier if I just flip it over. I'm so stupid. we got a nice magnetic closure. I made these little corner support. I'm gonna put them up underneath this. And then I made these little U-shaped brackets that are this will slot into. Now I gotta attach another one to the bottom of this. Maybe I'll just flip it over. You might be wondering why I made the corner support brackets the shape they are. At first I had them just triangle, like same length on both sides, but then I realized that my little support brackets would line up perfectly with each other when the tabletop got closed. So I decided to make one side shorter so that they would miss each other when the tabletop would get closed, and it could close closer to the cabinet. I had some leather laying around from an old project, so I figured I could just use it for some handles. Alright, so I made this little hitch carrier for the cabinet to sit in. I had some old angle iron over there from when I built this. So I just welded a little box together and put a square tube on it that goes into the hitch. And then I just drilled a hole and put a bolt through it. But then I put the I put the kitchen on here and it was kind of wobbly. So I'm gonna take some little pieces of metal that I had and I'm just gonna weld it onto here and then put a bolt through the camper. I have to grind my fresh paint off, but it's whatever. right, so the water setup, at first I tried to just put the hose down into the water jug, but it like would float on top of the water. So then I just put this tube down in there for the hose to go through, and that will keep it at the bottom of the jug. And then there's a little hole right there. You just feed this through there. And then I glued a pipe right there. And then you just feed it up into here and plug it into the faucet. And then this is just electric. You charge it, and a little on-off button. Works pretty good. It was like 10 bucks on Amazon, so. I put this tube here because when the hose was just like dangling down and coming out the hole, it would get stuck behind the drawer. When you open the drawer, the hose would like go behind it. So with it like this, I can keep the hose out of the way of the drawer. But these things, I think, started to warp from the sun after being in the sun for like no time at all. I mean, can't really complain for 10 bucks. All right, I figure I'd give you a quick cost breakdown of everything. I built the whole cabinet out of one sheet of plywood. That was 40 bucks. And then the sink was right about 30 and the faucet 10. So there's 80. And then the hinges were like 10 bucks altogether. So there's 90. And I think that was about it. Oh yeah, I had this metal, but I had to buy this metal, which was like 28 bucks. So let's just call it 30. So where were we? 90, so 120 bucks. I had the leather, I had all the paint and all that stuff. So a little over 100 bucks all in on this thing. Not bad. But that's gonna do it for this one. Make sure you subscribe and come back to see me take this thing out camping for the first time. Catch you on the next one. Peace.